What's up, party people?
Hello, hello, hello.
So I know we're a little behind some of the other social media accounts that have already announced it, but I'm hoping we're the first podcast to announce it. What has happened in the Lori Vallow Chad Daybell sex cult case?
The good old sex god himself has been charged and convicted in court.
Yes, he has.
He's going to be sex godded it up over there in prison, that's for sure. Hopefully, he's going to be getting it. They're going to be giving it to him.
I don't think he's going to be the sex god. I think he's more going to be
The slave.
the slave. Uh, so, yes, party people, there has been justice for uh, Tylee, for JJ, and for Tammy Daybell. Chad Daybell has been found guilty of first degree murder and of insurance fraud, and he has been sentenced to death.
Oh, wow. I see. I've been waiting. So I didn't read it. I just saw the headlines. So he's going
Ooh, I'm glad I
sentenced to
gotcha.
death, huh?
He has been sentenced to death, and
What
he's
state?
in Idaho.
So what does Idaho have?
I know everywhere has lethal injection.
I'm looking. So Idaho still has hanging
Oh shit.
and lethal injection.
Okay.
And should the state not have the material ability to carry out the capital sentence through the primary method of lethal injection, 5 days following the issuance of a warrant of execution, a firing squad will be used. That's interesting.
Idaho, Idaho State Penitentiary. Those of us that are parents and who hung on every word of the media to see where these babies were. Hang that motherfucker. But on a lighter note, Lav and I did an episode about Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. And I've gone through, and since my editing skills and my audio skills have gotten better, I went through and revamped it and have added some fun little hidden Easter eggs and things. And so we encourage you to go back and give it a listen. My goddess over here, who is sporting the shit show,
Mm-hmm.
is going to drop it as soon as I get it to her.
Sure am. So it'll be out for everyone.
So,
Randomly put it out there, like whatever
yeah,
day. So
it's just going to be. So, y'all just be looking for it.
I mean, they're already going to be listening to it at this point, but
Yeah. But I would say catch us on the flip side, but catch us on the rewrite.
yep, it's gonna be a doozy.
Take care, bitches.
Bye again, and then again in a few minutes when you listen. Bye.
It is colder than a witch's tit here. And I would know this because I'm a witch and I got tits.
Yep, we both have tits.
So
It is definitely not cold here, so
I think it's just this room. So we're gonna dive into our second one. Fingers crossed and magic spells said. We have a good recording for today for you guys because this case does deserve a lot of just respect, and it deserves our empathy. So before I go any further, I am going to put out, this is a warning. The subject matter that we are going to be talking about today is for mature audiences. Um, there will be talk of murder, suicide, possible sexual abuse. Lav, if you're ready, let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
So, as a parent, what is your greatest fear?
I would say my greatest fear would be my daughter growing up and not being happy with her life and just living like an unhappy life.
Yeah, that's, I feel that way too. For me, it's, and this isn't just as a parent, it's just as a human being altogether. My greatest fear is that I will lose someone I love. They'll disappear and I'll never find them.
And I can support that. That's a good fear for being a parent.
Well,
Never know where your child is. That's terrifying.
yeah. Today, we're going to talk about a family who is living from an innocent phone call. It was a windy day in Lake Charles, Louisiana, when Kay Woodcock, don't even called to check on her grandson, Joshua Jackson. JJ, as he liked to be called, had been adopted by Kay's brother Charles and his wife, Lori Vallow. As it unfortunately had been for the last several months, Lori tells Kay JJ is unavailable to come to the phone. At 17, no, my son doesn't want to go to the phone unless he thinks there's money on the other end of it. But I can't see just flat out saying, no, they're not available. This is a 7-year-old kid.
Your relatives. And she's like, oh, you're crazy. I'm asking her, like they can hear her. And
Yes. Yes, that's a big thing. On the 26th of November 2019, Kay, desperately concerned about JJ, contacts the Rexburg Police Department. This is Rexburg, Idaho, asking them to perform a welfare check for a rambunctious 6-year-old boy. When directly asked where JJ was, Lori would tell them that the kids were homesick for Arizona because they were originally from Chandler, Arizona. And they were staying with a longtime family friend, Melanie Gibb.
Hi, Lori. Lori, I'm Lieutenant Ball, Police Department. How are you? You got a minute? You alone or got help?
My brother's here.
Okay. Let's take these gloves.
CJ.
So, we're here.
Wow, this is a big mess. I just talked to the guy on the phone.
And what did he ask you?
He was just saying that he wanted to do a well check on JJ.
So, JJ would be where?
He's in Arizona.
Who's he with in Arizona?
He's with one of my friends in Arizona.
Oh.
Hi.
Oh, hey. You got a notepad?
No? Oh, you want?
No. Come here. Mind if he comes in.
Oh,
So,
I,
who's the friend he's with?
my friend Melanie. Her son has autism. Her name's Melanie Good. I gave him all the information on the phone.
Okay, so he can call him.
Yeah.
Perfect. This part.
Yeah. What is all this?
We're a little
What is
concerned
Right.
because, well, the officers who were here earlier
Yeah.
were checking, and they got a bad vibe that, like, something was going on here because nobody knew anything about a child. They weren't talking.
It's because a
What's
lot of
going
stuff
on?
that was going on. If you don't want to know, it's a lot of stuff. So
Well, that's why we're concerned because it just was kind of weird.
it is very weird. I've had to move around a lot. One of my brothers is trying to kill me. Not the brother that lives here, obviously. He's kind of my protector. My other brother was in with my husband who was trying to kill me for my $2 million life insurance policy.
A multi state investigation would be launched for Lori Vallow's children, 6-year-old JJ and 16-year-old Tylee Ryan. Tylee was Lori's daughter from a previous marriage. On November 27th, Chandler police discover that Melanie Gibb does not have the Vallow children in her possession, nor did she ever.
Okay. So where are they?
I don't know, I would be red flags all over the place. Well, if you don't have them, who does? Did you ever see
Exactly.
them? Did they come? Yeah.
And why isn't mom freaking out?
So Rexburg PD executed a search at 565 Pioneer Road in connection to the disappearance of the children. Taking into consideration of the fact that JJ is considered a high risk missing due to his autism diagnosis, RPD hurried to the last known residence of Lori Vallow, only to find the house was completely empty.
Interesting.
So not only now can they not find the kids, they can't find Lori either.
I wonder.
The RPD interviewed Kennedy Elementary School principal Josh Wilson, who informed them that JJ Vallow's first day of school was also his last day of school. On September 24th, Lori unenrolled JJ from Kennedy Elementary, stating he will be better off being homeschooled. Searching Tylee's educational trail was short and easy. She had received her GED early at only 16 years old. Police were now searching for kids no one had bothered to report as missing.
Wow. Nobody even realized they were missing. How sad.
No. And it's pretty sad that uh, we have autistic children in our family who some are now autistic adults. And they need structure, they crave it. They need it to be able to function and deal with the internal stimuli as well as the external stimuli.
Right.
So taking him out of school, I would think would be extremely detrimental, and especially to homeschool him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was definitely going to need that social interaction and learning how to socialize with other kids and people, taking him out and putting him in homeschool as an autistic person would make it harder for him to learn how to socialize.
Yeah. And on top of this, you have a 16-year-old that has her GED. My son would love to be at home with his GED and not do anything but play on his computer. But unless you're from an area where you are very impoverished or you're emancipated, she should be in school just like every other one in the town that is her age.
Right.
Here's another example of the missing structure that you need to have. Chandler authorities discover that JJ's beloved service dog Bailey had been returned to her trainer. Lori stated that it was Charles whom loved Bailey, not JJ. Bailey, who had an instant connection to JJ, now found herself without her boy and cops with no answers.
Interesting.
We have a Bailey, and our Bailey is very connected to our son. So when he leaves to go to school, and one of us is home on a day off or hasn't left yet, she goes batshit. She goes to his room, she goes to the living room, she goes outside, she looks everywhere for him until she realizes, okay, he's not in the vicinity.
Right.
So, and service dogs, I mean, as well as I do, they're trained to be with this person or this child or whomever that needs them.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I mean,
No.
they do a lot of stuff to pair the animal with the person before they even get them as a service animal. So if she's trying to say that he didn't even like the dog, well, that would have already been established. They would have never been able to take the dog home if they didn't match.
Right. And the trainer um even said on record that from the minute JJ met Bailey, it was an instant chemistry. Bailey loved JJ, and JJ had a habit of sleepwalking or wandering out of his house in the middle of the night. And the first night that Bailey was home with JJ slept through the night and had no incidents at all.
Wow. Wow.
So double doesn't make sense.
No.
On the 1st of October 2019, Lori Vallow rents a storage unit in Rexburg. Although this in itself is not strange or unusual, what would catch the attention of many is the excessive visits that Lori and her brother Alex Cox would make. Over less than a month, Lori would visit 9 times in October and once in November. Um, have you ever had a storage unit?
No, but I mean, 9 times in 1 month seems excessive. I'm like, all you're going to do is take your stuff there, put it in the storage unit, and then most people aren't going back. It's not something that you need to go get out of the storage unit like every week or something. You put it in there and you
No.
forget about it, and it sets.
And Lav, if you're anything like me, and I know that you are, my day is filled with feed the humans, feed the animals, do the job, put the work in, the laundry, the cleaning, and just making sure that my life is running as smooth as possible. I don't have time to go back and forth to a storage unit. I mean, I have stuff in my garage. I don't even know what it
Right.
is
What's
or
in
where
there?
it is because I'm not going to go look for it.
That's what my garage looks like.
Missing her very best friend so much, Gillian Kennedy sent a text to Tylee's cell phone. It came as a shock that it took Tylee a week to respond ominously. Love you guys. Miss you too.
Okay.
I'm 49 years old, and my phone is literally at my elbow. My phone is never, it's attached to my hip at 49.
Right.
My son at 17, I think if he could carry it inside his body, he would, so he would never be apart from it. So a 16-year-old without her phone, or a 16-year-old who doesn't answer for a week,
Right.
suspicious. It's very
I
suspicious.
agree. I mean, I find it suspicious if somebody doesn't respond to me in a matter of a couple hours. I'm like, are you dead?
Right. And that's it's funny you say that. So I forgot to tell BJ, my best friend, I forgot to tell her that I was recording today. And so I was getting our just getting everything together, and I get this phone call. And it's very rare that we call each other. So as soon
Right.
as I see it, I think, oh God, who's dead? What happened? What body part's been cut off? Why are you calling me? And so I answer and I'm like, are you okay? She goes, are you okay? What? Yeah, I'm fine. Why? Because I texted you 30 minutes ago. Oh, sorry.
Right.
So a week? No.
Right.
No, send out the search parties.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
October 8th should have been an event so magical and so special, depicted through photos. Lori Vallow dancing on the beach with a tall, large man, also in white. He played a ukulele on sandy, white coast beach on an island in Hawaii. Facebook would notify friends and family that Lori Vallow had just married Chad Daybell, her now fifth husband.
That's crazy to me. Five men.
I I've only been married once. I'm only going to be married once. Um, you can't get it in two, three max.
Right.
You got to stop. There's something wrong with you. That right.
I'm like, I've been married and divorced now twice. And I'm like, I don't plan on ever getting married again. I don't want to go to a third round. Like, it's not worth it.
Not but 5 times. If you fell off the marriage horse 5 times, you got to have brain damage by now.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree with that. I mean, just stick to dating at that point. Like, that's all you're doing anyway.
Yeah, exactly. A bitter December morning was met with a heartbreaking news announcement. Chief Gary Hagan was asking for help in locating JJ and Tylee. Chief Hagan listed the new Mrs. Chad Daybell as a person of interest. So I'm sure with most in the lovers of true crime, horror movies, or any of that, if a spouse comes up dead, who's the first person they look at?
The spouse or the
Yeah,
family.
yeah, significant other. Um, a child comes up missing.
The
Same
parents.
concept, only they look right at the parent.
Right.
Um, if my children were missing, I sure the fuck would not be in Hawaii getting married and posting it all over Facebook.
No.
I would be out. I would be beating the streets. You wouldn't be able to keep me down until I found my child or the monster that took my child. But
Right.
either way, I'm not coming home without something. And it sure the hell ain't a ukulele in LA.
Right.
As 2019 rolled to an end, the Rexburg Police Department was no closer to finding Tylee and JJ. It was quoted as they were quoted as saying Lori Vallow Daybell knows where or knows what has happened to her children. Deadpan looking into the camera as if he was looking into Lori Daybell's eyes. Chief Hagan states, "Your lack of cooperation is astonishing." Rexburg was now on the hunt for Chad and Lori Daybell.
As they should be. So many red flags. Like, everybody already knows you did something to your kids.
They didn't even try. They didn't try to act like they were
No.
innocent. They didn't try. I mean, we of course at this moment have no idea what's happened. But come on. You're not working with the police at all?
Right. They're running. They're running from the police almost. Abandoning their house
That's what
and
it
going to
feels
a
like.
different state. And yeah.
So now that kind of makes me wonder, is that what's in the storage unit that they had to keep going back and forth to? Were they
Right. That's
hiding
what I'm
their
wondering.
things so that they could, yeah, so they could take off? On the third day of the new year was ushered in by the FBI executing a search warrant to the vacant Daybell home. Agents recovered several suspicious items. The main one that stuck out was Tylee's cell phone.
Oh,
What teenager is ever without their cell phone?
right.
On January 7th, 2020, Kay and her husband, Larry, traveled to Rexburg. And I just got to take a break right there. I purposely didn't say woodcock because I'm not the kind of girl that wants that much cock in my mouth.
It's happening a lot
Just
tonight.
saying. Makes me question my motive for even saying this. um, they traveled to Rexburg to assist in the search for the Valos children. That evening, they held a press conference offering $200,000 for information that would lead to the safe return of the children. Larry said, "We don't say the D word, meaning death. We just want those sweet, trusting individuals back to our family." That is what a concerned family member does. That's what a concerned parent does.
Right. And this is the
They go in
grandparents
front.
having to
This is,
step up and
yeah, grandparents. Matthew Daybell, the estranged brother of Chad, offers a public plea for him and Lori to cooperate with the police. Matthew acknowledges that the family keeps its distance from Chad due to his extreme cult like religious practices. So now you have the brother asking for him to come and to cooperate. This is not even somebody that is related by blood
to the
or
kids.
anything. So here he says, this is a cult like religious practices.
Is that what happened to the kids?
I know there's a lot of religions that are very cultish, and not to throw dirt or mud at anybody's spiritual beliefs, because I don't want it done to me. I definitely won't do it to somebody else. But when your own brother and your parents don't want a damn thing to do with you because of your cult like practices, something is very, very wrong.
Right. Right. That's bizarre.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And especially, um, we have the word cult being thrown around. We have two adults that are doing who knows what, who knows where, and two innocent children that nobody knows where they are. They
Right.
don't know if they're hurt or they're being held captive.
And the mom doesn't seem to care.
No, no, she doesn't. Um, my son is not mine by birth. My son is adopted. But I have a little plaque that says, "I didn't give you life, life gave me you." And I've said on more than one occasion, I could not love that boy more
Right.
than if I had given birth to him. He is my son regardless. So this is your daughter who shares your blood and your son that you've adopted to help give a better life. What the fuck are you doing to find them?
Nothing, apparently. She's living her best life on the beach somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. 15 days later, Lori Vallow Daybell is located in Hawaii. She has been served with a court order demanding she produce her children. On January 26th, Lori and Chad are surrounded by law enforcement and taken into custody, where they are served with warrants for their rental car and their rented townhouse in Princeville. As the Daybells are being escorted, news journalist Nate Eaton catches up to Lori and asks her repetitively,
Nate Eaton with East Idaho News. Can you tell me where your kids are? Where are your kids? No comment? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Where are your children? Yeah, why don't you just give us a comment? Just tell us where they are. Chad, where are Lori's kids? What happened to Tammy, Chad? Can you tell us what happened to Tammy? Why have you guys been in Hawaii for so long? Listen, just tell people what's happening. There's people around the country praying for your children, praying for you guys. Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
That's great. That's great that they're praying for you, praying for your kids. What? You have nothing to say? Did you do something to your children? Are your children still alive? That's a simple question. I've got 3 kids of my own. I can tell you every minute where my kids are at. Where are your children? What do you guys plan to do now? Are you have 5 days to get your children in front of a judge in Rexburg, then what? Are you guys innocent of any crimes? Have you committed any crimes? Chad, you guys have a lot to say on your podcast. You don't have anything to say now? Lori?
Eaton asks her again, but this time, mistakenly thinking she could not be seen, looks right at the camera and smirks.
Wow, what a cold-hearted bitch.
I would smirk if I ate the last piece of pizza and I knew my wife wanted it. I would giggle if there was the last piece of cheesecake. If I wore her socks, um, brought home a dog, which I actually
Right.
did, but not where are my kids?
Right. I wouldn't even have gotten, like, it would have never even gotten that far for me. Like, if my daughter was missing, I would have been already talking to the news, like, somebody help me find her. You
Yes,
know?
absolutely. If you were to have Lori in front of you, what would your mind be thinking about her at this very moment from everything you've heard up to right now?
Um, she clearly doesn't have any, like, maternal instinct. She doesn't show any empathy or remorse. I would say she's definitely narcissistic, it seems like. Um, being married 5 times kind of, like, shows a progression of, not really being able to do anything on her own. Like, she's very codependent on men, it seems like. I don't know. She's definitely, I would I would say, like a sociopath or psychopath or something.
And just to toss it out there for our friends that are listening, Lavender nor I are psychologists or psychiatrists. We're not therapists, but we both have studied psychology pretty extensively. So these are our own opinions by the things that we have read and studied and learned. So please don't think that we're trying to diagnose anybody. We're just giving our opinion on this extremely strange case.
What are your thoughts on her?
I think she is a sociopath, to be brutally honest. She shows complete lack of empathy. I've seen it happen in both genders, with women and with men. They are willing to give up their kids for that other person
Right.
to make themselves happy, to make the other person happy. You know, parenting life, and you know this just as I do, parenting life's not easy. Of course not. You have to give up things, you have to do things you don't always want to do. You're broke 24/7.
Right.
But in my opinion, you cannot love a person unless you have some type of connection, empathy, or just respect for their children.
Right.
So, NBC News program Dateline, and if you guys are listening to us, I know that you know exactly what Dateline is,
Right.
airs a 2-hour special. I always, if I've had a particularly rough day, I'll tell my friends or I'll tell my wife, I'm going to go and hibernate so I don't end up on the first 48.
Right.
So Dateline will air a 2-hour special, and it's titled "Where Are the Children?" Which is the question that has been going on for what seems like almost a year now. Where the hell are they? For the first time, the public hears from Melanie Gibbs. Now, remember, Gibbs is the friend that Lori said had her children. Gibbs will relay what really went down during a phone conversation with Lori Vallow Daybell.
I just wanted to ask you a question, if you don't mind, Lori. Yeah. I want to know, you remember we talked about JJ going to Kay's house, and you told me they went there, and now he's not there? I was wondering what happened. I had to move him somewhere else because of her actions. So was she doing something? Like, was she trying to come get him or something, or like trying to kidnap him? Well, she said that lots of times before, but. Well, I was wondering why you told the police why he was with me. I just needed to have somebody so I wouldn't have to tell them where he really was, because they were going to tell Kay where he is. Is JJ safe? He is safe and happy. Okay, well, that's good to hear. Like, if I knew, like, how could that hurt me? I don't understand how that could hurt me if I knew where he was. Well, I'm just not telling anybody so that nobody has to say where he is or get questioned where he is, so I can keep him as safe as possible.
She asked me to lie if the police contacted me about Tylee and JJ. She wanted me to reassure them the kids were safe. What the fuck?
Right.
Hey, Melanie, can you hide this Amazon package for me? I don't want Chad to know that I bought $600 shoes. Or, hey, can you drive me home? I've had a little too much to drink. Not when the cops call you, you tell them the kids are safe.
Right. Yeah. I would have so many questions. I'd be like, what do you mean?
Not long after the Dateline special, Kauai PD arrests Lori Daybell on a warrant out of Madison County in response to her ignoring the court order to produce the kids.
Right. Okay.
After being extradited back to Rexburg, Lori is held on $5 million bail for resisting arrest, solicitation to commit a crime, and willful disobedience of a court order. So now
Okay.
the law is really involved. Now the court is telling her, hey, bring these kids. You bring them here, you bring them to the welfare office, you bring them somewhere, but
Right.
get them here now.
She didn't even try to make up a story and, be like, oh, this is what happened, Somebody else did it.
No. There is a giant shift to the Vallow children's case. Asked the one question on everybody's mind. Would Tylee and JJ finally be found?
Were they found?
With the hot sun in their faces and over 3 hours of searching, Chad Daybell is arrested in connection to human remains that had surfaced from a shallow grave. As they announce, the remains are that of now 17-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old Joshua Jackson Vallow. They've been found. They've been found. The Cox family, this is Lori's family, released the statement, "We pray with heavy hearts for the children and for the conclusions to come." So how did this Mother of the Year, former pageant contestant, and devoted mother of 3, I said 3, become a
Okay.
cold-blooded killer?
The cult.
In 2018, the then 45-year-old Lori Vallow, being familiar with the LDS faith, which is the Church of Latter-day Saints, which is the Mormon belief, became interested in a series of extreme doomsday books based on the LDS teachings. Lori would take to Facebook, as many others had before her, to praise the podcaster and self-published author, Chad Daybell. Chad Daybell had moved to Rexburg with his then wife, Tammy. He spoke of hearing spiritual messages that commanded him to Rexburg. The fact that he was a con artist and
which
a
is just what I was
charlatan.
going to say. He was using it. Yeah, he was using it to manipulate people.
And his wife?
So you said
was
his
the first
wife
one.
would, if his family and brother didn't talk to him because of his cult, then what did his wife think? Was she part of it?
From everything that I read and watched about it, she was very devout to her LDS faith, and she obeyed her husband as she was supposed to. She did not question or talk back to him as she was taught.
Right. Okay.
So Lori was easily romanced by Chad by convincing her that God had told him she was his chosen one, the one who will help usher in the second coming of Jesus Christ. He spun tales of Lori being his sexual goddess, connected to
a
him
sex
through
god.
oceans of time. Yeah. With Lori, obviously she wasn't fulfilled. Married 5 times.
I was going to say, it sounds like at least 2 of the 5 were dead.
Yeah. Not at this time, though. Not yet. Chad Daybell's trial will begin on April 1st, 2024. How fitting is it, a religious fool being brought to justice on April Fool's Day?
In regards to count 2 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan? Guilty. Question number 3. In regards to count 3 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow? Guilty. Question number 4. In regards to count 4 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow? Guilty. Question number 5. In regards to count 5 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell? Guilty. Question number 6. In regards to count 6 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell? Guilty.
Because the defendant has been convicted on counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, the state has filed a notice of intent to seek the death penalty, and so a second phase of this trial, called the sentencing phase, will be taking place next. the jury has made a finding that it would be appropriate to impose the death penalty as it relates to counts 1 through 6 in the amended indictment. And so pursuant to Idaho Code 192515, the court is directed that the defendant would be sentenced to death on those counts.
Right.
So I say a very special thank you to the men and women who do this on a daily basis to find those that have been hurt or killed and to bring their perpetrators to justice.
I support that.
You killed those children, according to the state's theory, and I believe it, to remove them as obstacles and to profit financially. You justified all of this by going down a bizarre religious rabbit hole, and clearly you are still down there. While you were enjoying your new life in Hawaii, countless law enforcement officers, family members, and volunteers were searching for your children. And I don't think to this day you have any remorse for the effort and heartache you caused for others who looked for your children when you knew where they were and knew they were dead. They were found dead, burned, mutilated, and dismembered, and buried like animals. After you knew they were dead, you collected public-funded assistance payments meant for them, and that was blood money you kept for yourself. The crime scene was a horrific thing to have to review, and there's images that I will never get out of my mind, and I'm just looking at the pictures. Law enforcement officers who had to deal with the aftermath of what you did, I'm sure were traumatized, and I know it was traumatic as well for the jurors who had to sit through and see the photographs of these dead and mutilated and buried children. And it is the most shocking thing, really, I can imagine, is that a mother killed her own children and you simply have no remorse for it. Even sitting here today, there's no remorse for what you did.
So I hope, friends, that you will join us again for our next episode. We have a lot of wonderful things in the works for all of you guys, and
Yeah, we got plans. We've got a bunch of plans.
yes, and when you put two intelligent, strong-willed women together, who knows what you'll come across. He told her together they would gather 144,000 followers to save the world.
If you think about, like, the world has billions of people, and they're only aiming for
Right.
100,000.
Right, but these 144,000 are going to save the earth of millions and billions of people, but only
Right.
these ones are going to be
Yeah, he's
right.
being very selective.
And it's because he believed he had the ability to see individuals as their soul associations. So for a lot of us, that means their auras. He would see them by their auras.
Okay.
If someone was seen in a dark aura, they were created to house a demonic spirit. Light auras was an angelic spirit to follow Chad.
Okay.
Now we have this, okay, more leader, messiah type behaviors.
Right.
In 2018, Lori flew from Chandler to Rexburg, appearing on Chad's podcast called Preparing the People. This single event set in place all
of the tragic events to follow. So she got on a plane in one state, got off in another, and literally changed the course of so many people's lives by one very selfish choice.
Right. And that's just coming from a person that's clearly, like you said, she's not fulfilled and she's out looking for whatever's going to fulfill her and trying to get it however she can. She was a very broken woman.
Chad, in my opinion, being that predator, he knew exactly what to say to her.
Oh, yeah, he preyed on her. Yeah, he saw it
Yeah.
coming. He knew exactly what was going on with her. Yep.
It wouldn't take long for Charles Vallow to grow tired of his wife's antics. In February of 2019, Lori's fourth husband, Charles, files for divorce. Lori tells Charles that she is the reincarnated wife of Mormon founder Joseph Smith. During the divorce proceedings, Lori abandoned Charles and their children for 2 months. When she returned, she told Charles that she no longer loved him or JJ. During the proceedings, Charles asked for protection from Lori due to her making statements that he was already dead or would be dead if he got in her way. It's a self-fulfilled prophecy. But with this, him telling the court he needed protection because he was afraid, he was actually predicting his own fate.
So I Googled Chad and I found where he made a police report saying that he wanted the police to take Lori. He was in fear for his children's she was going to harm his children. This is before they were getting a divorce. She had told him that he was possessed by Ned Schreider. Ned was Chad's friend when they were children, that had passed away when they were children. How creepy is that? And the police didn't do anything about this report. They didn't take her. Could you imagine if the police would have taken her and put her in like psychiatric care? Then her kids may still be alive.
Yeah. And Charles may still be alive.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, there is one other person who's going to suffer with this. It's another very unfortunate event in this whole just crazy story. Alex Cox, who was the brother of Lori Vallow, and Melanie Boudreau, which was Lori's and Alex's niece from another sibling.
Okay.
Began spending copious amounts of time with Chad Daybell's religious group. Chad reached out telling Alex he was a spiritual warrior and he was tasked with protecting Lori from any dark entities Chad identified to him.
Oh, okay.
July 11th, 2019, Chandler PD are called to the rental apartment Lori and her children had just moved into. Alex Cox had just shot Charles Vallow.
Wow. After he's the spiritual warrior?
Yeah. Yep. This is before this is before her and Chad Daybell got married. This was before they moved to Rexburg. They're still in Chandler, Arizona.
Okay.
And her brother shoots her husband.
Why?
He would he would spin a magnificent tale of heroism. He claimed he had walked in on Charles physically assaulting Lori. He interviewed when Tylee came into the room with a baseball bat to defend Lori. Before Alex knew it, Charles had taken the bat from Tylee and hit him in the back of the head. Fearing for their lives, Alex went to his room, retrieved a pistol, and shot Charles.
Wow. None of that makes
Um,
sense to me. I mean, he left the room. He was able to walk away freely.
yeah. And he was able to get a gun, and he was able to shoot it. Now, if your life is truly in danger by someone with a baseball bat, I seriously doubt they're going to let you leave the room.
Exactly. They're going to be chasing you, swinging away.
Yeah, exactly. Charles Vallow's sister went on record as saying that Charles had been a natural born athlete, and he had actually played baseball. So if Charles would have actually hit Alex with that bat in the back of his head,
He
had
would not
just
be
superficial
conscious.
wounds.
No, he would have been knocked out. Yeah, he would
Mhm.
have been out for a good minute.
Just
He would
some
have
tiny
woke up like, what
scratches.
happened? Where am I?
If you woke up at all.
Right, exactly.
When Alex would not be charged with any crime,
Ludicrous.
they said it was self-defense.
I don't get that. Just even hearing the story, it's not believable.
No. No. The following month, Lori relocates her family along with brother Alex and niece Melanie to Rexburg. How convenient. Husband's out of the way. We can get up and move in with the lover.
Like, instead of him dying, why the hell didn't they just go through with the divorce? Why did she go back? She was already gone. She was gone for the 2 months. Why even go back?
I'm going to take a stab in the dark. I'm going to say greed. There was life insurance. There was a house to sell.
Okay. I get that.
There were a monetary value on this man's life. The next series of strange events would occur in October. Tammy Daybell, unclear of a motive, dials 911 to report a masked man shooting at her with what would turn out to be a paintball gun. So just out of the
Okay.
blue, she's in her driveway and someone rolls up and
That's
Yep. In Chandler, the soon-to-be ex-husband of Melanie, Brandon, calls 911 due to a suspicious man shooting at him from a Jeep. Police would discover that the Jeep was registered to the late Charles Vallow,
they're still
who the
using his
shooter was.
Jeep?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's so crazy. As
It is.
law enforcement,
There's just so much to absorb.
and all of these things really took place, but this, it sounds like a bad Hollywood movie.
It does. It doesn't. I don't know how they got away with it for months.
Okay, this is one thing that every time I think about this story, this is the first thing that comes to my mind is how in the hell can you look at a man who's got very superficial scratches on his head and say, oh, yes, your life was in danger. You had every right to shoot this man who
Right.
has allowed you to leave the room. Yeah.
And you know what's happening with the Ty Lee, because he supposedly took the bat from her, and Lori, who's supposedly getting beat up, it's not his self-defense. You know what I mean? Like either one of them would have a better chance at saying self-defense. But him
Right.
just to walk in and see somebody else getting beat up is not.
So put yourself in the officer's place. You're standing outside with Alex Cox, who is sitting on the curb and he's telling you what happened. And from your peripheral vision, you see a vehicle pull up. And that vehicle has Lori Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and JJ Vallow in it. And
Okay, so they weren't
they
even there
come
when the cops came.
No, they left to go pick up JJ and then come strolling back into the scene as if nothing more had happened than they went to go pick up dinner.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. As law enforcement in Chandler is investigating the attempted murder of Boudreaux, law enforcement in Rexburg has just received a 911 call from Chad Daybell.
911, where's your emergency?
We're at 202 North, 1900 East.
What's going on?
We just found my mom. She's on the ground frozen, or she's stiff, and I don't know.
Are you in Madison County or Fremont County?
Well, I'm Chad, the husband. She's clearly dead. We don't
Oh,
think.
sorry. Okay. Okay. Are you in Rexburg or, because your address shows Rexburg address, but you're in Fremont County?
It's a mile past.
Okay.
Like, oh,
Okay. Oh.
yeah, she's not even frozen.
Okay. Can I get your name?
Chad, Daybell. Oh, man. Oh.
Okay, Chad. I'm going to get somebody out to you right now, okay?
Yeah, the corner where the blinking yellow light is with the red house.
Yes, sir. Red house on the corner.
Yeah.
Blinking yellow light.
Right.
Okay. We'll get somebody out to you, okay? I'm so sorry.
Okay.
If you need anything else, you call me back, okay?
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
And the ME rules
death by natural causes.
Because that's not suspicious at all. Especially after somebody shooting BBs at her.
Mm-hmm. Citing religious reasons, Chad Daybell would refuse an autopsy on his wife. 3 days after her death, Chad has his wife buried in the Springville Cemetery in Utah. Not even in the same state.
Wow.
Yep. Chad will hold a wake in his Rexburg home and introduce Lori as an empty nester and widow to his family and friends.
An empty nester.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not
Melanie,
exactly what that term is supposed to mean, but okay.
no, and here's the thing. This is kind of another foreshadowing for what would go on to happen is when Chad and Lori were talking with his family and friends and they were first meeting her, there was never any mention of two younger kids. Just her older one
Well,
that that's out of the house.
right.
Melanie Gibbs was contacted by Lori Vallow asking her if she wanted to be a part of the chosen ones of Chad Daybell's religious group. She just had to, air quotes, separate from her two sons. Melanie emphatically
Okay.
declined their offer.
So, yeah, the cult stuff. No kids allowed,
Mm-hmm.
apparently.
And from what I read, they both started telling Melanie that she could be a sexual goddess as well if she just
Oh, wow.
gave up
She didn't want
herself.
she didn't
Yeah.
want to be on that train.
No, no. And I can't blame her because if somebody said, "Yeah, you can come be a sexual goddess in my cult," you just got to kill your kids
Right.
or get rid of them. It wasn't
It's
even
like,
kill; it was just get rid of them.
right. I mean, I guess adoption. Let your
Yeah.
husband, when you get a divorce, have full custody. Something. Something other than killing them.
Right. Now during this conversation, Lori tells Melanie that JJ and Tylee were dark souls that are walking around as spiritual zombies.
Right.
Chad had told her this, had told her that her children were full of dark entities.
Wow.
And she believed him. Believed him.
I don't know. I'm still like stuck on. I mean, I'm torn between whether she was completely manipulated and actually believed him, or if she was the one really manipulating him and using him as a way to get out of her previous life. Like I'm torn on
Does
which side this is going.
does it seem like to you that they just decided to completely reinvent themselves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They got rid of their spouses. They
Right.
got rid of her kids and was living it up in Hawaii.
Right. Yeah. They just completely changed they wanted different lives and they did it.
Mhm. Yeah, in the worst way possible, but they did it.
Right.
On December 11th, Fremont's medical examiner declares Tammy Daybell's death suspicious and requests for her body to be exhumed. The following day, Alex Cox dies from a pulmonary embolism. It is not considered suspicious. Fucking karma.
Right. I wonder if it was one in his brain from the bat. Karma. Karma got him.
Karma. hmm April 9th, 2020, Tammy Daybell's death is ruled a homicide by asphyxiation. Rexburg magistrate adds first-degree murder and first-degree conspiracy to commit murder charges to Chad and Lori Daybell's already existing case.
Okay.
May 25th, 2021, prosecutor Lindsay Blake describes the three innocent and trusting individuals as getting in the way of the life Chad and Lori desired. Tears filled the courtroom as Blake then describes the children's bodies as charred and broken and beaten. JJ
Wow.
would still be wearing the red pajamas that he had been in when there was a picture taken of him the morning that he would lose his life. He
Wow.
had a plastic bag over his head, and his body was duct taped.
Oh, that's awful. Poor baby.
Before we go any further, I would like to ask of us and of those who are listening along with us to please take a moment, utilize whatever you do for your spirituality, and give these beautiful little lives, all three of them, who loved and trusted these two horrific humans, to protect them and take care of them, to just give them a minute. I appreciate everybody doing that as we stand together in
Solidarity.
of empathy for these lives. We may not have been able to keep them alive, but we can keep their memory and their spirits alive. On July 31st, 2023, Lori Cox Daybell is found guilty of first-degree murder related to the deaths of Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, and first-degree conspiracy to commit murder in the death of Tammy Daybell. Lori Daybell will serve 3 consecutive life sentences. She will never see freedom.
Which is a good thing.
I believe in an eye for an eye and a throat for a throat. So the fact that she still gets to breathe when her children do not doesn't sit very well with me.
I agree with that.
And this is where, again, it just gets weird. During the sentencing phase, Lori spoke to the court.
Jesus knows me, and Jesus understands me. I mourn with all of you who mourn my children and Tammy. Jesus Christ knows the truth of what happened here. Jesus Christ knows that no one was murdered in this case. Accidental deaths happen. Suicides happen. Fatal side effects from medications happen. I have a different perspective in life because in 2002, when I was pregnant with Tylee, I died in the hospital while in labor with her. They tried to stop my labor. They put me on the table and they put something in my IV, and I felt my spirit falling to the floor. I was standing near my pregnant body, watching the doctors try to revive me, which took them a few minutes. In that time, my sister Stacy was standing to my left. I turned to hug her and was surprised that her spirit was as tangible as a physical body, because I knew I was in spirit and she was in spirit. She said she needed to show me some things, and we went to heaven. I later returned to my body. Because of this experience, I have access to heaven and the spirit world. Since then, I have had many communications from people now living in heaven, including my children, Tylee Ashlyn and Joshua Jackson, my sisters, Stacy and Lolly, my aunts and my uncles, and my grandparents. I have had many communications with Jesus Christ, the Savior of this world, and our heavenly parents. I've had many angelic visitors have come and communicated with me and even manifested themselves to me. Because of these communications, I know for a fact that my children are happy and busy in the spirit world. Because of my communications with my friend Tammy Daybell, I know that she is also very happy and extremely busy. I have always mourned the loss of my loved ones, and I have lost many in this mortal world. However, I know them more than most people. I know where they are now and what they're doing. I know how wonderful heaven is, and I'm homesick for it every single day. I know we all lived in heaven before we were born on earth, and we were all adult spirits in the heavenly realm. We chose to come to earth as mortals. Heaven is more wonderful than you can possibly imagine. I do not fear death, but I look forward to it. I did not want to return to my body when I was out of it. Even though my son Colby, who I adored more than anything, was only 6 years old at the time, and I was about to give birth to this new baby girl that I wanted so badly. I was a young mother, and you would think I wouldn't want to leave my children, but as I stood in heaven, I did not want to go back. I thought they would be fine without me because I was peaceful and I was happy and I was home. But then I was told by Jesus that I needed to go back and complete things that I had covenanted or promised to do before I was born. This caused me a lot of distress because I knew heaven was my real home, and I only wanted to be there. I was free from pain, emotional and physical. But then I was shown how I would help my children and others in the future, so ultimately I did agree to go back to my body. Tylee has visited me. She is happy and very busy. Tylee is free now from all the pains of her life. Tylee suffered horrible physical pain her whole life. I sat with Tylee in the hospital year after year after year while she screamed in pain when the morphine wasn't even enough to take away the pain of her pancreatitis. I sat there while she cried and I held back her hair while she threw up. And I am the only person on this earth who knows how much Tylee suffered in her life. She had pain every single day. She never felt good. Her body did not work right. And I don't know if that was from complications from me dying while she was being born or something else, but she had a very difficult life. She was sexually abused by her own biological father since she was 3 years old, and she was forced by family court to go visit him for 10 years against her will. I fought for her in court. I protected her. I tried to protect her with my whole life. I tried to protect her. I worried about her every single day. Tylee had to get her GED because she couldn't go to school every day because she never felt good. She felt sick. Nobody knows this because Tylee, like myself, tries to put on a good front, tries to be a happy person, tries to have hope in life, tries to know that she's here for a purpose and that she has an eternal purpose to be on this earth. But I never stopped worrying about her. One of the times that Tylee came to me as a spirit after she died, she commanded me and she said to me, "Stop worrying, Mom. We are fine." She knows how I worry and how I miss her. The first time JJ visited me after he passed away, he put his arm around me And he said to me, "You didn't do anything wrong, Mom. I love you. And I know you loved me every minute of my life." JJ, Joshua Jackson, was an adult spirit. And he was very, very tall when he put his arm around me. He is busy. He is engaged. He has jobs that he does there. And he is happy where he is. His life was short, but JJ's life was meaningful. JJ was a wonderful person and touched the lives of everyone. And I adored him every minute of his life. My eternal friend, Tammy Daybell, has visited me on several occasions. She came to bring me peace and comfort, and I know that she is extremely busy helping her family, especially her children and grandchildren. And I have a great love for Tammy. My beautiful children, Kylie Ashlyn and Joshua Jackson, rest safely this day in the arms of Jesus. My wonderful friend, Tammy Daybell, rests safely this day in the arms of Jesus. And I look forward to the day when we are all reunited and I too will rest with them in the arms of my Jesus.
Oh, wow.
So your son comes to you as a grown man because you decided he didn't need to live past the age of 7.
Right.
And they're happy because they're busy. I'm sure they would have been happy busy on earth. I don't think they needed to cross
Yeah.
over for that. Um,